Hello, I'm Wendy. Today we're painting flowers with a loose background wet into wet. It's a watercolour tutorial and we're painting apple blossom. It's coming up to the end of March and it's blossom time again. Now last year I painted a picture of apple blossom using a very experimental background, and I'll put you the link in the description box below. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to use a reference I took last year. You can see my photograph of some apple blossom. And I'm going to paint it, but this time I'm going to paint it with a very soft background. I'm still going to mask out, but I'm not going to be using any cling film or salt on it. It's just going to be a pure soft watercolour background. The painting you're looking at now is one I did a couple of days ago. I wanted to try and make the background colours a little bit greyed, so I'm using a sort of a grey colour that I've mixed, and I'll tell you the colours, with a yellow, just dropped into a wet background. This is the reference drawing that I'll be using today for the painting that I'm going to be demonstrating. If you'd like to get a copy of that, then there is a link in the description box below. I've simplified the original drawing for purpose of the demonstration and just put a couple of flowers in there. I'm hoping to keep the same soft feel with the greys and yellows, with some greens dropped in just to represent some of the leaves around the petals. After doing the drawing, I masked out the flower and the buds using masking fluid, and if you want to know how I did that in more detail, then you can refer back to a video of mine painting hellebores, and I'll put that link in the description box below. After thoroughly wetting the paper with clean water, then I dropped in the colours, as you can see here. The grey I mixed with light red and cobalt blue. I might have put a little bit of raw sienna in there, or a little bit of yellow, just to grey the mixture, the yellow being the third primary colour. The greens, I've got two mixed here. I've got a mid-tone green and a darker green. I'm adding a slightly darker colour around the flowers, which will help set them off in the finished picture. After this I added some lemon yellow. I'm using phthalo blue or Prussian blue as the base, and then I'm adding various quantities of yellows. I'm using raw sienna, lemon yellow, and then to darken the mix I'm adding some burnt sienna to it. If you'd like to know more about my palette for greens, I have a video made already, and I'll give you a link to that in the description box below. So you can see here I'm painting in real time, and the paper is staying nice and damp. This is what you want to aim for. If you do find your paper is drying out, you could try spraying it with a little bit of water in a spray bottle. You'll see that I'm progressively adding darker greens to the picture, trying to preserve the grey and some of the white paper. I let the painting dry and remove the masking fluid at this stage. And I used a mixture of ultramarine with a little bit of burnt sienna to give this sort of colour for the twigs. And I'm painting them in and sort of intertwining them in and out of the leaves, just to give a nice composition. And I've got the composition itself is on a diagonal, which always works very well. So bear that in mind when you're doing your picture. I added a final few more dark leaves here. So here I'm starting on the flowers themselves and adding the centre of the flower using a yellow. For the shadows on the petals I used permanent rose and cobalt blue, again with possibly the third primary in there, just a touch of yellow. If you don't have permanent rose, alizarin crimson would be a good choice to use, or rose madder. I'm sort of making up the shadows on these petals, and I'm separating them by tone rather than line, as you can see, with some hard edges and some soft edges. Some of the edges I'm softening with clear water. I wasn't too happy with this little area on the right here. Again, it's all very subjective what you like and don't like, but at the end of the day it's your picture. I wasn't that happy with it, so I put a few more branches through it, and you'll see a little bit later on in the video I've added a few white buds with using some white gouache and a little bit of colour. And here I'm adding a stronger shadow colour. There's more cobalt blue in the mix. I'm softening the edges generally, and as you'll see I'm picking out one or two petals that look as if they could have one of their edges sort of folding over and folding inwards, and I'm adding a little bit more cast shadow to those areas. Just a little bit of work here on the buds with a slight pink colour to them and some shadow. I do like to put a mount around a picture as it's progressing because it does help you decide what to do next. And here I'm just adding a darker centre to the petals using a brown with burnt sienna and a touch of ultramarine. So the painting is just about finished. At this stage I like to maybe tidy up one or two areas with a touch of white gouache. Sometimes the masking fluid can give you some rather odd shapes that need just sort of adjusting. I added a little bit of light to the buds here, and as I mentioned earlier, I just suggested a few little buds at the top right hand side of that top flower there. So here's the finished picture, and I hope you like it. And as always, I do hope that you learn something from it that will help you in your own paintings. It's a constant process, ongoing process, isn't it, learning watercolour and painting, but so enjoyable. Bye for now.